Religion has always been about faith, hope, and community. But in the modern world, it has also become something else, a multi-billion-dollar business empire. Every Sunday, millions gather in megachurches that resemble sports arenas more than sacred temples. Money pours in through tithes, donations, book sales, conferences, and media broadcasts. The result? Churches that rival Fortune 500 companies in revenue, with some pastors living lifestyles that will make corporate CEOs jealous. But how exactly did houses of worship transform into billion-dollar powerhouses? And what does this mean for both believers and the business of faith? To understand the business of religion, we need to recognize two truths. First, faith is one of humanity's oldest institutions, predating modern governments, corporations, and even organized education. Second, religion, like any enduring institution, adapts. In the past century, churches, especially in America, have mastered the art of scaling faith into a profitable enterprise. This matters because these organizations are not just spiritual leaders, they are economic players. They buy real estate, broadcast on television, operate global charities, influence politics, and build billion-dollar infrastructures. For followers, this raises profound questions. Is faith being commercialized? Or is commercialization simply the cost of reaching millions? In today's story, we'll dive deep into the rise of billion-dollar churches, explore their strategies, and reveal what's really behind the holy empire of money and faith. 1. The rise of the megachurch. The term megachurch refers to congregations with over 2,000 members attending weekly services. But in reality, some attract 30,000 to 50,000 people every week, filling arenas, stadiums, or campuses larger than most universities. Take Lakewood Church in Houston, led by Joel Osteen. The church occupies a former NBA arena, seats over 16,000, and streams services to millions worldwide. Annual revenues have been reported in the hundreds of millions. This phenomenon didn't happen overnight. Starting in the 1970s, charismatic leaders embraced mass media, first television, then radio, and now YouTube and streaming platforms. By transforming sermons into content, churches learn the same growth strategies that Netflix and Disney use today. Revenue streams. How churches make billions. The business of religion is diverse. Unlike traditional companies that rely on products or services, churches rely on multiple streams of revenue, many tax-free. Tithes and offerings. Members are encouraged to give 10% of income, which, in a megachurch of 20,000 members, can mean tens of millions annually. Books and media. Pastors often become best-selling authors. Their books, podcasts, and TV shows generate millions in royalties. Conferences and events. Leadership conferences, youth camps, and faith festivals attract paying attendees. Merchandise. From worship albums to branded apparel, the faith economy mirrors mainstream commerce. Real estate. Large churches own prime property, some campuses valued at hundreds of millions. When all these streams combine, the balance sheet resembles that of a mid-sized corporation. Tax advantages. The nonprofit loophole. One of the most controversial aspects of billion-dollar churches is their tax-exempt status. In the United States, churches are considered nonprofit organizations. This means no federal income tax, no property taxes on church-owned land. Donations are tax-deductible for members. For megachurches, this is a massive advantage. A corporate competitor generating $100 million in revenue might owe tens of millions in taxes. A church generating the same can reinvest nearly everything into expansion or, controversially, into salaries and perks for leadership. This raises the ethical question. Should billion-dollar organizations remain tax-free simply because they are religious? Leadership as celebrity, the pastor as CEO. In the business of religion, pastors function much like CEOs. Their brand drives the church's growth. Their charisma attracts audiences. Their books, speeches, and media appearances generate revenue.
Figures like Joel Osteen, T.D. Jakes, Creflo Dollar, and Bishop David Oyedepo, Nigeria, have global followings. Some own private jets, luxury homes, and networks of businesses. Critics argue this blurs the line between spiritual leadership and personal profit. Supporters argue that pastors deserve rewards for their tireless work, just like entertainers or entrepreneurs. Either way, the celebrity pastor is a cornerstone of the modern church business model. 5. Global reach. Exporting the business model. While American megachurches are the most famous, the model has gone global. In Africa, Latin America, and Asia, churches with tens of thousands of members have grown rapidly. For example, Nigeria's Winners Chapel claims millions of members worldwide and operates a campus known as Faith Tabernacle, one of the largest church auditoriums in the world. These global churches are not just religious centers, they are economic ecosystems, creating jobs, generating tourism, and influencing elections. 6. The controversies. Prosperity gospel. Criticism. One of the most controversial aspects of billion-dollar churches is the prosperity gospel, the belief that faith and giving will result in material blessings. Critics argue this exploits vulnerable believers, encouraging them to give money in hopes of divine rewards. High-profile scandals, from financial mismanagement to lavish lifestyles, have fueled skepticism. Documentaries and investigations frequently highlight cases of abuse or fraud. Yet, despite criticism, megachurches continue to grow. Why? Because they provide community, hope, and belonging in ways few other institutions can. 7. Beyond the pulpit. Influence in politics and culture. Billion-dollar churches are not confined to Sunday services. They influence elections, shape cultural debates, and lobby for policies. In the U.S., evangelical churches have played a decisive role in presidential elections. In countries like Brazil and Nigeria, church leaders are often more influential than traditional politicians. This blending of faith, money, and power makes billion-dollar churches not just businesses, but global institutions of influence. 8. The future of faith as business. As digital platforms grow, so will the reach of churches. Live streams, apps, and online giving make it easier than ever for churches to expand. A follower in Africa can donate instantly to a pastor in Texas. In the next decade, expect churches with fully digital congregations, expansion into virtual reality worship, even more integration between religion, entertainment, and commerce. The billion-dollar church is not just a current phenomenon, it is the future of organized religion. Religion and money have always been intertwined. But today's billion-dollar churches raise new questions. Are they spiritual leaders or business empires? Should faith-based organizations be taxed like corporations? And most importantly, what does this mean for the future of faith? If churches can become billion-dollar businesses, what about other institutions? In our next deep dive, we'll explore the billion-dollar business of sports and how teams like the NFL operate more like global corporations than games. So, what do you think? Should megachurches keep their tax-free status? Or should billion-dollar faith be treated like billion-dollar business? Drop your thoughts below.